You got to press the green. Now it is. Now it should catch everything, right? You can, Randy, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Countdown to, hi. Right, wire. You got an over under here? Okay,
I think, I'm gonna say 8:05.
really?
That's gonna be.
I'll make
Yeah.
sure everybody knows who
What do you think? Are you, we've got a bet going here.
Depends how long you,
Oh,
you can't, you're in control.
They're betting. I think that's against the law.
Yeah.
no, we're not. There's no money changing hands here. There's no over under. All right. Ready? I call to order the meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Riverwoods. Would you please stand with me and say the pledge? I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Ford,
Present.
Trustee Clayton,
Here.
Trustee Eastman,
Here.
Trustee Jamerson,
Here.
Trustee Raff,
Here.
and Trustees Smith and Trevino are absent, but we have a quorum.
Good. First item of business is approval of the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a trustee so requests. In that event, the discussion will be the first item of business after the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Are there any items that any trustee wishes to discuss separately? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Clayton.
Aye.
Trustee Eastman.
Aye.
Trustee Jamerson.
Aye.
Trustee Raff.
Aye.
Motion passes.
First is Finance Director's report. Director Vasquez, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few items for tonight's report. Our new accounting manager, Jimmy Scott, started yesterday. We are currently working through the onboarding process and getting her set up with all the access that she will need, but so far things are going very well. I'm starting the process to get things ready for our appropriations/budget ordinance, which will come later in the first quarter of 2026. And I'll make sure to incorporate feedback we received from our finance workshop discussion earlier this month. I've reached out to our auditors, Selden Fox, to tentatively schedule field work for the 2025 audit. We're aiming to have this work happen in late March. And finally, the tax levy data that was approved at the last board meeting has been submitted with Lake County, ensuring that we meet their end of year deadline. And that's all I have for tonight.
Are there any questions for our Finance Director? Thank you. Next order would be the Treasurer's report. He's not present. Director of Community Services report. Director Witt, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So every month we're supposed to have a report on Saunders Road, and I'll have to say we have no report because we've gotten nowhere with the state. So fingers crossed something will happen in 2026. The other thing that I have is just a note that with our winter weather in full force, all our trees have lost their foliage, which converts into multiple requests for help with code violations for light spillage from glaring lights from people's neighbors' homes are pouring in. So I would ask that our residents take a walk around their house. We've had some people, when we contact them, said, gee, I didn't know I had that light. Gee, I didn't know that light is on. Must have been the caretaker. Okay, we can walk around the house, just take a look, just make sure a couple of points. Lights should generally be pointed downward, nothing upward. Dark skies, keep in mind. Light bulbs should not be able to be seen directly from a neighboring property, the bulb itself. You can see the light that it produces, but not the bulb itself, unless it is shielded with a frosted glass enclosure. The frosted bulb itself doesn't work, but the frosted glass enclosure helps to prevent the glare. Illumination levels for driveway lights need to be reasonable. There is an actual limit for how many lumens it could be, but you got to understand when it is just blaring or when it's reasonable just to give you some approach lights. Security lights are limited to 2 on any lot. We have properties that have more than that. They must be mounted no higher than 12 feet above the grade and point no further away than 30 feet from the house itself. Decorative lights have to be mounted no higher than 8 feet above the ground. And tree lighting needs to be pointed downward and toward the trunk of the tree, and they must be turned off after 10 o'clock at night. So those are all in our ordinance. So if everyone could keep in mind, it will help to make the winter go by a little easier. That's all I have tonight.
May I ask a question?
Certainly, you may always ask.
Holiday lighting, where people have small white lights and bushes and things like that, does that have to be turned off after 10 o'clock?
There's nothing in the ordinance that says it needs to be off after 10 o'clock. What I do caution people with is, we are not out looking at holiday light violations in any way, shape, or form. The code would tell you holiday lights should be taken down and taken in within 90 days. And the reason for that is the wires are not necessarily meant to be outdoor for longer than that. In a previous municipality, we had someone's porch start on fire because they left lights on year round. And one year they cracked and started their porch roof on fire. So it does happen. The other piece too is we do have some residents who like to kind of wind things up a lot, trunks of trees and other objects. And when that becomes a blaring source of light, that could be considered a code violation as well too, particularly if you're on a well-traveled street. So I just caution folks to take a look at that. But general holiday lights should be no issue.
Thank you. Trustee Eastman, please.
So I have a question or observation. This is the, most impossible quest ever, but Lake Cook Road, going eastbound, heading sort of when you head to the light at Saunders in the middle of the lane, there's a really big drop down that is almost a hazard type pothole. I assume that that's the sort of stuff that would be taken care of in the bigger project. And I know it's actually like where the pad is for, but there's also a few other areas on Lake Cook that are starting to get particularly bad. I don't know if that's something where we can have them patch it, but what I've been told before was with things that are on the pad, it's harder to solve that problem. But it's getting to the point where when I drive that pretty frequently, you can actually notice the dip in it.
We can ask the county to take a look at that.
That would be great.
See what they can do.
Yeah, I know it's a constant battle, but thank you.
So you're saying it's
the center lane.
side
So
of-
if you were heading eastbound, it's the center lane right as you get to the stoplight pad on Saunders is particularly bad. There's other areas that are bad that are definitely in the Riverwoods area that are pretty standard potholes, but that one is really like disjointed.
We'll make contact with the county and see what they can do for us.
Be awesome. Thank you.
Trustee Clayton, please.
Any update on how Tuska's doing with the sidewalk study?
Well, we met, are we talking Port Wayne Road? Yes, we did meet with Trustee Raff and Tuska's planners last week. And they are starting to put together some sketches. They are right in the moment. They're in an information gathering process. They're trying to get together with GHA later this week to get background information from our GIS system so that they can determine location of utilities and how that may or may not impact where we want the boardwalk to actually go. The numbers have come in from Olson with regard to cost estimates, but we're looking to verify some of those numbers before I really put them out there.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. Next order of business, attorney's report. Attorney Huvard, please.
We have a number of ongoing issues that we're discussing with Lake County. I don't, in any particular order, on the Quick Trip annexation, they received the last of the documentation from us they were looking for, and we're waiting for them to come back with a term sheet of some sort that would allow us to purchase water. I think that they wanted to take the average daily demand that Quick Trip was projecting and then go have a discussion with Buffalo Grove. So at least they told me that they are working on it. So there's that. We prepared a form of agreement for them for the projects that we have from time to time under our intergovernmental agreement. This comes up because of the lift station project that they're going to perform for us. In the past, I think things are probably a little loosey-goosey, and then there's been a period of years where they haven't done as many projects, and now if we start having them do projects for us on a more regular basis, the question was, what was the appropriate agreement to ask the county to sign when we already have an intergovernmental agreement? So we prepared something that we think might be a template, and they're reviewing that to see if that meets their needs as well. But just so that would give us some assurance that we have an agreed upon scope of work, that they're going to perform the work in accordance with their usual criteria and specifications for sewer repairs and that kind of thing. So that's another example. There is a bike path that goes across the frontage of Thornton's and CubeSmart. And the bike path, it's a sidewalk easement that was granted in favor of the village years ago when we did the subdivision plat. The county realizes that it would like the easement language to be broader or to run to them as well. The village has the ability to authorize or grant other assigns the right to use the easement under the original subdivision plat. So they've asked us to consider some sort of document, I think they're preparing, that would enhance their ability to extend the bike path across Thornton's and CubeSmart. Then this is a little bit of ancient history. Years ago, Buffalo Grove, I think, was trying to do some improvements that required widening Deerfield Road. This is, you can see there's a theme running through all this. And in those early days of my involvement here in the village, the thought was that the village should take action to stop the widening of Deerfield Road at the intersection with Milwaukee. And IDOT had issued a permit to a contractor, and the village actually filed a lawsuit to try and stop this. And we lost, in case you wondered. But one of the ways in which we were defending the lawsuit at the time, and of course, if you think about it, our attitude has changed quite a bit in terms of welcoming certain kinds of improvements at that intersection. But we accepted donations of 5-foot strips of land from where the medical spa building is and where Colonial Court is, and from Thornton's. And the owners at the time willingly granted them to us, to the village. We gave them up. We released them in connection with the redevelopment of Thornton's and CubeSmart because we were engaged with those owners with the redevelopment agreement. We never have taken action to give up the 5-foot strip on the Colonial Court side. I was joking about this and describing this to one of their right-of-way experts. I said, I'm sort of surprised that this hasn't come up because you've been in condemnation for a year and a half. Well, it turns out it came up. And they realized that there's another party that perhaps has to be either named or something. But I think in the end, they would like the village to quitclaim or stipulate that we won't oppose the widening of the intersection at that point. I think they probably have the authority to condemn it anyway if they had to, because of the situation. But so on any given day these days, when I talk to county officials, it seems like I have, a basket full of issues, and we're working back and forth. They need our help on a few issues. We need their help. And so it goes. But that's just a brief update.
I do have a question.
Oh, yeah. Trustee Jamerson, please.
So in regards to the bike path in front of Thornton's and CubeSmart, it seems that the retention pond for Thornton's is right where the path is supposed to go. The county realizes that now, right? Because that was okayed by them, I believe.
Well, that was another issue that we worked through, but the county acquired an additional easement from Thornton's that we had not provided for when we approved the Thornton's development. The county acquired the additional easement, and it gives them room to put up a retaining.
Oh, they're going to move the retaining wall
They're
in?
going to have a retaining structure on the edge of the bike path and a rail of some sort.
Oh,
So they're going to have to fill in a little bit of the detention to do this,
okay.
and they're providing the
Oh, they're providing competence.
basement comp storage on the other
Storage on
side.
the other side. Okay, that was the question. Thank you.
Are there any questions for our attorney? Thank you. Police report, Chief.
Couple things. Well, first, the activity from for the year is in your board packet.
Oh, you speak up a little, please.
Pull it up a little closer.
Can you hear me now?
Really?
This is my volume not up over there.
All right, okay, I'm good now. I have big ears with this on.
His hearing
Turn this off.
come back to really loud. So he's adjusting his hearing.
Recently I recognized, can you hear me now? Okay. Recently I recognized 2 officers for the response to a call involving a veteran suffering from PTSD who was in distress. And they effectively spent time de-escalating the situation. And before they left, they connected him with social service support. So I don't want to get into too many details because it's private, but I just wanted to, and that's why I'm not even going to name the officers. But the person did call me shortly after that and thank me for how they handled the situation. Secondly, I think most of you, I'm sure all of you have heard that on December 3rd, officers from the Riverwoods Police Department in Bellingham, Washington, executed an arrest warrant in Bellingham for Natalie E. Schramm, reportedly Natalie E. Borg, 2400 block. Well, that's not important. She formerly lived in Riverwoods. The charges were concealment of death, 2 counts, abuse of corpse, 1 count, and 1 count of failure to report the death or disappearance of a child under 13 years of age. The arrest was the result of an investigation that began in May of 2020, following report of the possible discovery of human remains in the wooded area in the 1800 block of Robinwood Lane. Further examination by police and coroner confirmed the remains were those of a newborn infant. After a protracted investigation, we were able to determine who the mother was, and that's who we arrested. The case is still ongoing. We're still looking for more information and hoping to get more information from the public. So anyone who does have information can contact our non-emergency number, or they can call my direct line at 224-284-2332, or they can email me, and the email is online as my telephone number at bdano@riverwoods.gov. And that's all I have.
Are there any questions for our chief? Thank you, and as always, thank you for your service. I know there was recently a call from a resident, an older resident, and Officer Marciello went over and spoke with her. She was concerned about security, and was hopeful that we could have more police presence. There were some incidents in Will County, I believe, that she was referring to, but she was very much supportive and very grateful for Officer Marciello to take the time to come over and spend that time with her and put her at ease. So our guys are out there doing a lot of good and know our residents very well. And I wanted to add that because that was yesterday, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So our officers are out there. Thank you very much for that. Are there any questions for our chief? Okay, seeing none. Plan Commission report. Chairman Brightcroft, please.
Good evening. I'll be very brief. The Plan Commission met on December the 4th, and we continued our discussion about the comprehensive plan. We will not have a meeting in January, but we will meet again on February 5th. And that is all I have.
Are there any questions for our? Thank you. The zoning board of appeals did not meet. Fire district report, our fire chief is not with us. Information items and comments from the president. You see listed there the board meeting dates for 2026. And at this point, I don't envision there being any necessary changes, but as we move through the year, there could well be. So just wanted to make sure that we posted those. I was going to take some time for a look back on 2025, all the things that we had, that have come before the board, the burn ordinance, the purchase of the Fed Life property, the demolishment there. We have a strategic land use committee that was formed and gave their report. We had the affordable housing ordinance passed. We started having committee of the whole meetings. There were just a number of things that we did last year. We were very busy, and staff was just really did great jobs in carrying all these projects through and not dropping anything. We had difficulties with our in our finance department. A sad occurrence. Our accounting manager passed on, and as you heard, Jamise has started yesterday. And so it's a catch up, but it's been a great year. And what I'd prefer to do is maybe at the next meeting, talk about looking forward. Looking backward is great. We've accomplished a lot, but I think we need to look forward. So I'm going to take some time at the next meeting to maybe get some thoughts out there, conversations that we've had internally about what kinds of things we see coming that we think might be good things for the board to get involved in or to push forward. So moving on, visitors wishing to address the board on items not on the agenda. Randy.
Good evening, Randy Merrill from RPC. I just wanted to let you know we met yesterday and actually selected some dates to do a plant sale and the garage sale, which will clear with the village. But we have them and we're going to move forward on those. We also will plan on doing Recycle-A-Rama, but that's usually a September, October date. So just want to let you know that that's on our agenda.
Are there any questions or discussion for our PC chair? Thank you. We absolutely will be in touch. And also looking back, the South Lake mosquito abatement project. But that was just a small little blip in the radar there. Anyway, ended well. All's well that ends well, right? New business. First item of new business, approval of a request for donation to the District 113 Foundation. And I believe we have some representatives here that would come forward and present their request.
Well,
Oh, wait, no. You need to sit down and be comfortable.
Yes. Okay,
Don't be,
thank you.
Yeah.
So nice to be here and thank you for having us. We're so passionate about the work
Let's start with your names, please.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
My name is Mary Beth Larzak. I'm a co-president. I've been with the foundation 8 years.
Oh.
she needs your name and spelling.
Really messing up. Mary Beth, B-E-T Arzik, A-R-Z. Is that okay? Okay, and this is Amita Reed and Angie Butera. And we're very passionate about the work we do. If you'd mind going to the next slide. Our mission is to enrich the student experience at Deerfield and Highland Park High Schools, and we foster innovative programs and opportunities. And we always start by saying that students have good memories in high school. They stay with them the rest of their lives. If we can do that, then we've really won. We were founded in 2007. And our goal is if teachers are really wanting to try something new, but there's not money in the budget, we pay for it the first year and help them to generate evidence and be able to go back and ask for sustaining funds through the district. We're all volunteers. We also have school administration at the district and high school level and our executive director. And we're very proud because we have touched every student multiple times. We've funded every area of the high school imaginable and helped form new clubs. And really our goal is to say yes to teachers. We know they have a really hard job. And we just love hearing their creativity and excitement and the students' excitement, and really make this a public high school as good as any private school out there. And that's always our goal. Thank you. I'll hand it over to Amita now.
Hi, I'm Amita Reed. I'm the co-president of District 113 Education Foundation, along with Mary Beth. And I would like to speak to the grants that we funded recently in 2024. On the slide, you can see, and I can also speak to it. We funded more than 22,000 in grants and sponsorships last year. And these grants not only focused on academic excellence of the students, but also their social and emotional well-being. So we have some really high-tech grants here, that the Gimbal Stabilizer and a GimKit College Algebra, which is like an interactive content course. And we go through Pilsen Experience, which is focusing on the cultural and the global experiences for the students. And then we have the emotional and social well-being grants, like the healing intervention that focuses on sensory equipments. We also have like Team Builder software that focuses on providing athletic department a software to enhance their athletic program. And then besides the grants, we also do sponsorships every year. And some of the sponsorships that we are really proud of is the Community the Anti-Drug. We sponsor speakers for the Genocide Awareness Day. And one of the big conferences that were hosted by the Deerfield Athletics Department was the Empower Her workshops and conference that focused on really empowering the students and their leadership skills in the community. So these are just our grants last year, but one of the grants that we are really proud of, and that was like over $10,000 for each school, was a driving simulator. And we know distracting driving is like a big problem in our community right now. And this driving simulator really gives the real world feeling to the students on what texting and driving can mean and how dangerous it is. And that those two grants that we funded at each school, we're really proud of being able to do that. So I mean, you can see it's not just academic excellence we're looking at. We say in our mission statement, innovative programs, and that means that we are going beyond the STEM and we are really looking at a holistic experience for our students. Next slide, please. So what are the impacts and benefits to the Village of Riverwood students and community? Just from numbers, you can see that the 10% of the Deerfield High School enrollment, which is around 140 students out of 1,400, come from Village of Riverwoods. In addition, we have the middle school and the elementary schools, the enrollment in the DPS 109, and that is around 326 students. So really, all our foundation grants and initiatives are available to all the current students and the new future students that will be feeding into the Deerfield High School. And then if you look beyond the numbers, what are really our core outcomes of our foundation, right? We really strive for every student to have long-lasting connections, um, enhance the academic experience. We want to build student resilience and well-being. And in the end, we want to make sure each and every student really benefit from the diversity of these grants. Next slide, please. So really, thank you, Mayor, Board of Trustees, Directors, and all the members of the board here today for giving us time to present the work of our foundation to you. And we are requesting the Village of Riverwoods Board's commitment and partnership to, in the amount of $1,000 or anything you're able to help us sustain and expand these efforts of the foundation. Your contribution will make sure that the current and the future students can build these long-lasting, meaningful connections for years to come. We are ready to answer any of your questions. And again, we look forward to partnering with Village of Riverwoods in the future. Thank you so much.
Well, I think to open discussion, we can start with the motion. Is there a motion for a donation to the foundation in the amount of,
So moved to make a donation of $1,000.
is there a second, please?
Second.
Is there's a discussion, please? Questions? Trustee Jamerson,
I have
please.
some questions.
Mhm.
I went through your paperwork that was in our packet.
Mhm.
And I noticed that none of the other villages that send children to either one of the high schools has given any money.
We have
Why are you coming to us now?
one of the initiatives, so I just joined as a co-president now, and so did Angie Butera. And we have been working to reach all our municipalities this year. This was something that we didn't do before. So when Village of Riverwoods got the letter from us, we had reached to all municipalities at the same time. And we are really excited that Village of Riverwoods is the first one to give us an opportunity to come here at the board and present, so.
Okay, and then, so I think this is great. I think your program is great. However, I think when you look at our residents' tax bills, probably 90%, if not more, goes to the elementary school district and the high school district, almost in equal shares. So I'm wondering why, I think I saw, or maybe you said it, last year you spent $22,000 in grants. Why the school district itself that collects millions of dollars can't come up with that same amount of money in their budget. Because we are trying to be good stewards of our residents' money. And I realize $1,000 is not much. And I'm sure the Village of Riverwoods, I know Village of Riverwoods can afford to do that. But I'm concerned that we're donating money to something that the school district should be funding themselves. These are all wonderful programs that I looked at all your documentation that was sent. I went into your website, and I think it's all fabulous. I really do. But I really have a hard time with why you're coming to the municipalities whose residents are already giving a ton of money to the school. So I'm sorry, but that's my question.
So cute. Your ears might have been buzzing a little bit. We just had our grants meeting for this year, and we asked that question with every grant. And many of our grants we don't fund for things that we believe the district should be covering. Sometimes, though, there are new technologies or new student clubs emerging, and it's very hard for teachers to get funding if there's not data or evidence that this is a worthwhile expense. And so really a big part of our mission is to pay that first year and give that teacher that chance to collect the evidence. And then from that point forward, it is the responsibility of the district to use their taxpayer dollars to continue those activities. So we really like to see ourselves as ability to get things kick-started, but definitely not stepping over what that responsibility is of the district.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions or discussion? Trustee Clayton, please.
I think I would be in favor of approving this now, but subject to the reservation that next year when they come back for funding again, should we pass this tonight, that we see what Highland Park and Deerfield and so on tangibly have contributed to the foundation other than Riverwoods. So that's my comment.
Anyone else wish to comment at this point? Okay, we're talking about money, so we'll go roll call.
Trustee Clayton?
Aye.
Trustee Eastman? Trustee Jamerson?
Aye.
Trustee Raff?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And I don't know if there's ever competition, but you will be the one on our website with a very big logo showing your trailblazing support and putting the others to shame.
Gee, thanks.
We have some brochures too if people would like to take one to learn more about us. We'll leave them here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Put
so
them out
much.
for others to see for use. Thank you and good luck. Next item of new business is the first reading only of an approval of an ordinance amending provisions of the village code regulating construction of facilities on rights of way. I think for first reading, we need a motion for first reading. May I?
I will make a motion for first reading only.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Same sign. Thank you.
Can,
Okay. Attorney Hoovard, would you like to step up and explain this?
I tried to provide a memo with some background about this, which turned out to be a little longer than I had hoped for. Generally, telephone companies going back to the 1900s probably had to be given special rights of way because otherwise you couldn't get telephone service. Electric companies were also in the mix, and so the use of right-of-ways by those utilities, by regulated utilities, has become widespread. We have franchise agreements with ComEd, with North Shore Gas, and cable companies came along, and the cable companies, there's a procedure in the village municipal code for granting a franchise to a cable company, and so they also then have franchise agreements that give extensive rights to use right-of-way, but also spell out their duties and responsibilities. And of course, the franchise agreements in some cases came with other contractual arrangements. AT&T some years ago developed, because of the internet, the ability to stream video. So people who provide video programming are referred to as video providers. And suddenly the state was confronted with the fact that video providers came in different flavors. There was the cable company, but there were also people using the internet to stream video. As I mentioned in the memo, the state passed the Illinois Cable and Video Competition Law in 2007 and provided a procedure for companies like AT&T, which were traditional cable companies, to be issued a state license. If they held the state license, they were then given the right to use rights of way. Other changes along the way incurred in federal law, which was trying to promote the spread of telecommunications, and I quoted in the memo the famous Section 53 of the Telecommunications Act, which says that no state or local regulation may prohibit or have the effect of prohibiting the ability of any entity to provide interstate or intrastate telecommunications service. It does say later in that federal law that the local government can manage its rights of way on a neutral and non-discriminatory basis, but it has to do so in a way that it would treat all providers in the same way. So as I mentioned, there are multiple state laws, multiple federal laws. If I told you that I've read 6 definitions of telecommunications provider, they're not the same, and I don't know what they mean, probably would understand. The Illinois Municipal League attempted to help communities. They put together a committee when this law was passed in 2007 to provide a set of standards, a more uniform set of standards, so that we didn't have to go to war with each telecommunications provider and separately negotiate all of the terms and conditions for the use of the right-of-way. This was known as the Model Right-of-Way Ordinance. Many communities passed it, not all of them, but many did, and the village did in 2007. And we haven't changed that legislation that the village adopted since then. In the meantime, there have been more changes, and the most recent change is the rush to extend a fiber optic cable, which promises even greater connectivity and faster speeds. The problem for communities is that we have to manage the right-of-way, and it's a limited resource. When I say the right-of-way, you think of Port Wine Road, there's 12 feet of pavement, but on either side, the right-of-way extends another 12 feet. It's 30, the right-of-way on Riverwoods Road, I don't have to say here, is probably 66 feet. It might be 33 feet from the center line. Right, so what you see in the paved surface is only a portion of it. Outside of the right-of-way, there are village water main, sanitary sewer, other electrical, there are other utilities, and there are rules for how all of these utilities get located. You don't want sanitary and water close to each other. They have to be, there are different depths that they have to be for weather and other reasons, safety reasons. And this has become a huge management issue for almost every type of governmental entity that has rights of way. They have to have policies for how people use the right of way. When they go in, they dig holes, they make a mess, they may damage the pavement, they may damage other utilities. And so the rules are attempting to set the framework for how all of that is managed. A number of areas around the village have been approached by the newest flavor, which are fiber optic companies who want to install fiber optic, not initially because they're offering video programming, but because they're putting in the backbone, the infrastructure. And then they sometimes partner with other companies where they lease the fiber optic to companies that do provide the video programming. So initially, there's just a race to get fiber optic, and I'm told that there are some federal programs, money involved, which may have incentives to get this done. So now, right now, the village has been approached by 3 fiber optic companies. And we don't actually have a clear sense of like how much of the village they want to serve, how long the build out would be, how we would manage the fact that there's 3 of them at the same time. I talked to one attorney from representing another community, said, well, they're looking at it as first come, first served basis. But as you read the federal law, that's not really the thing. But on the other hand, we don't think, I say we, Steve and Chris and I, when we were looking at the Port Wine right of way, we don't think we could fit 3 fiber optic cables all on the east side of the road, unless they shared a conduit, perhaps. So we have serious issues in just terms of, I think we can say, no, you can't put cable in here if you can't stay, our village engineer suggested at least 5 feet away from our water main. The west side of Port Wine Road, we don't want anyone going in there because if we put in an elevated walkway and we put piers now, then we have to require them to move it or relocate it so it's not in our way. So you have to manage these things prospectively as well. Other communities that have been facing this, I would say, generally speaking, are not that happy with what's going on. There's a race to get this done fast. the companies installing this have to rely, I think, on local subcontractors. So you have teams with different administrative capacity, different management supervisors, different care in the work. And it's been anecdotally reported, not only in this area, but in other places where fiber optic companies all at work at the same time, that it creates a bit of a problem. We also have talked to the companies that approached us and alerted them that some huge percentage of roads in Riverwoods are privately owned and maintained, and that any permit that the village gives for work in a right-of-way would only be for Port Wine Saunders on the few streets in the village streets. It wouldn't apply to the private streets. They would have to get their own permission for that. And they said, fine, no problem. So looking at what other villages in our area have done to try and deal with this, many of them have thought to adopt some sort of separate agreement with each fiber optic company that in some cases repeats a lot of the material in the model right-of-way ordinance. In a few cases, I've learned this is because they didn't adopt the model right-of-way ordinance. In other cases, I think they did it because they weren't sure that it covered. The approach here was, let's stick with the tried and true. We have this ordinance. I tried to build in as many new provisions and protections as I could by looking at what lessons we could learn from other communities. I think there's still some things that need to maybe be improved here. That's why we thought first reading would be the best thing. I know Trustee Jamerson has some corrections to give me. Any corrections or comments you have, if you feel like little, edits, please send them to me. If you want to ask questions, of course, tonight. But the idea of having this on the agenda and then passing it would be to give staff in the village as many appropriate management tools as we can have to better manage this process, because the companies keep asking us, they're ready to come in to apply for their permit. What do they have to do?
If I may call on Trustee Clayton, please.
I don't know if this is germane or relevant at this point, but another community that I'm familiar with in Colorado, what they basically did was they formed another utility, and they made it a community fiber optic network, and they partnered with one firm, and it's Trailblazer, and they have extended the fiber optic throughout all of the metropolitan area, some of which is like ours, where there's public roads and private roads and so on. In doing some research, I've discovered that there are other communities that are doing that in Illinois. There's the Chicago Southland Fiber Network, which is a gigabyte fiber network for the South Chicago suburbs in conjunction with, and so there's one company, urban.net, that then manages that whole network. This is something that I think we need to think seriously about, because this is a benefit to our residents, and the flow of information that's going on today and the speed that you can achieve with regard to fiber optics, I think is a very important thing for us to think seriously about. And it just seemed to me off the top that we could look into forming a third utility in the village, which would be the fiber optic utility that goes along with water and sewer and an enterprise fund and so on and so forth. And then we're dealing with one company where we have complete control over what goes on in the right of way, and we're providing very significant benefit to our residents.
May I ask a question? The network that you cited, Chicago Southland, is that one community, or would that
No,
be
that's
more than,
that's more than one suburb.
that's more than one suburb?
They also, by doing it that way, they also qualified for state funding, and I don't know if they had any federal funding or not, but it was created to a pretty significant degree with state funds. Kendall County is doing this in the whole county. So I guess that includes a lot, of municipalities. And I don't know how practical it is for a village of our size to do this, but I think it's something we should think about. And I think it's something we could look into with regard to some of our neighboring communities to see if they want to put together a consortium and really manage the whole thing in an elegant way rather than trying to do this with, which is a yeoman's job to try to get this all written down into the ordinance and make sure we have all the right protections and so on. Maybe we should just take a step back and think about it as a very important utility that we can provide to our residents that's every bit as important potentially as water and sewer. And so I think, I don't know how to look into that, and I don't know what the next steps would be, but it seems to me like something we should think about.
We have in place this working group from the South Lake Mosquito Abatement District with the communities that were members there. And we might be able to call or get in touch with them and say, what are you doing?
I would think you would have to involve Lake County because the Deerfield Road is the county jurisdiction. So some of the most significant linkages in the village. Mr. Jamerson.
It's okay. I know I'm the only one at this end of the room, so.
I should move over there.
Can I come over that side? I'd appreciate it.
You could switch.
Come on the dark side. Anyways, even if so my question to your point, Trustee Clayton, even if we were to create a third utility, would that mean that these other companies still could not then come in and say, we want to put cable in or fiber in also? I don't think it precludes them based on what I read in Attorney Couvard's letter and the ordinance. I don't think it's going to preclude them from coming in and saying, you have to give us access.
Yeah, maybe not legally, but I think from an economic and business point of view, it'd be very hard to compete with a village private provider partnership. Just the scale and so on would be prohibitive for other companies to come in.
Yeah. The other thing I would like to say off that subject, but I think that's a great idea, is that it's so important that we figure this part out because the fiber optic companies are not the ones that are putting the fiber in the ground. They are not. They are hiring subcontractors that could care less, to be honest with you, about what they leave behind. Because I've seen it done many times in my industry. So it's very important that we make sure we're protected on the restoration and where they're going to be and where they're going to put their facilities above ground, because they're going to have facilities above ground. They can't put everything underground. It just doesn't work. Even AT&T has pedestals all over the place. Look, if you know what you're looking for. So if we can create a utility that would, for lack of a better word, make the competition not want to be here and make our life easier, that'd be great. But
although I would note that none of us on the board are in favor of any anti-competitive measures whatsoever.
Of course not.
No.
Market forces doing their thing.
Clarity's sake.
I will tell you that at least in Estes Park, they've had this now, the community fiber optic network for 5-6 years, and there's not another fiber optic network anywhere in the area.
Well, I have wondered, we have at staff meetings wondered if there's 3 companies coming in, what are they all thinking? How many subscribers can they peel away from each other or from AT&T or from, what is the business model? And it's expensive, but it's not that in a way, it's the fiber optic, cables get less and less costly. I think it's sort of the idea that we have about a lot of things these days. Put in the infrastructure. If you build it, they will come. Someone will figure out a use for it. Because we don't really understand what happens after you put it in, and then what happens.
I tell you that there's an appreciable increase in speeds and service.
Right, but what happens if there's 3 companies? How do they compete against each other?
they're hoping to be the first in with complete service, and then they go to house, and once you get them, then you sign a contract, and it's hard to get the other people. But being the first in is going to be the key for them, I think.
Well, how would they reach like 80% of the village? Because those are private roads. And it's complicated. Trustee Eastman, did you have a?
So yeah, so my question is for Bruce is what ability do we have to, if at all, to discriminate or pick a preferred provider? Or is there literally a requirement that says we must give equal access to every provider? Is there any flexibility in the law there?
I think what Trustee Clayton is raising is an interesting question. I don't know the legal structure for how those are accomplished. I'm wondering if what they do is they put in a conduit and serve more than one company. So I just don't know the basis for it, so I can't answer yet. I'm going to look at it.
That would be interesting to know, simply because if we actually do have to give access to everyone, that really limits your ability to. I mean, I would think it would limit your ability to put in. I mean, I agree with Trustee Clayton. I really think that's actually, and I've seen other. I actually am familiar with a provider that's done the same thing and partnered with communities. It's a private service provider, but what I don't know is I don't know the legal mechanism by which they are selected to be that community provider, or if there's multiple ones that come in, like what leverage do we have to control that process? It would be useful if we had a better working knowledge of what control to build off of that, right? I mean, do we have the ability to say, or put out an RFP, right, and pick a preferred provider? Do we even have that ability to do it? Because I think it would be a benefit. I think it'd be a huge benefit, but it seems to me like we wouldn't want to necessarily duplicate all the construction issues if we don't have to. But if we have to, we have to.
Sounds like we have some questions that we need to spend some time on, and perhaps we'll talk internally to see if we can touch with some of our communities, close in communities, see what they're doing. Trustee Raff, please, and then Trustee Clayton.
I'm just wondering if we need an industry consultant of some sort. We don't really know what the cable is to be used for, how it's to be sold, what the profitability or lack of profitability is. We may have the physical ability to do something like this, but do we know what we're doing?
Sorry, I was just going to suggest that it'd be, just as another data point, it'd be interesting to ask the three companies, what do they think about partnering with the village, and see what kind of response we get.
Oh, yeah, we'll partner with you.
Maybe not.
Just judging by the speed of response when we sent our first message out saying this is what we look like. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, yeah. We'll focus and we'll see if we can collect information on, number one, what others are doing. Secondly, the preferred provider route. How would that go? And are there industry consultants out there that might be of use in this particular thing? I think we've got, I'm hearing three areas. Does that sound fair? Does that sound correct? And this may take us a while to do. But I think if we can report progress and we can keep the dogs at bay a little bit, so we can make a good decision for the residents, for the village. Does that sound fair? Is that good? Okay.
We do need vote on first reading.
I think you did.
You did. We had a first reading.
Put it out of order, but you did.
You're used to the waiving business and then the motion for the second reading and approval. And we're not going there. Yeah. You don't want to go there, right? Nobody. Just want to make sure. All right, got it. No other new business? There's no old business. Board comments, please.
I know it's hard to believe, but I have no comments.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Just
Trustee Clayton,
one quick one. I've had the privilege of meeting Janice, and I think she's going to be an excellent, excellent addition to the village. And I look forward to all of you meeting her and getting to know her.
yes, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. She's had 2 days with us and she's coming back tomorrow, so, I think it's good. All right, moving on then. There's no need to go into executive session. And so our next time and date, Committee of the Whole meeting, January 6th, first meeting of the month at 6:30, and a regular meeting following at 7:30. Do I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Happy New Year. Happy, healthy New Year. Thank you so much.
All of you.
So the menorah fell over last night.
Did it?
Yep.